Hey everybody, welcome to the F-Bard's Chronicles. This is my channel and I'm here to tell you my experiences running Lost Mine of Phandelver. It is the starter adventure for D&D 5th edition. I ran this adventure for two different groups, one with 3 new players and 1 veteran, and the other with 1 new player and 3 veterans. This is the story of the two groups, the Red Wedge Pact and the War Hamsters. Stay tuned to this channel in order to understand why those are their names. I'm hoping my experience will help a new DM to run this adventure and give them an idea of what to expect. This is the handout that I had sent my players so that they know what the hell is going on. As you can see, it's very short. That way the players are more likely to read it. If you put in a huge handout, it's very likely that they'll just open it, see this huge document, close it, and never read it. I also added a map because players like maps. We started the adventure as described in the module with the goblin ambush. Here's my first advice. Feel free to not read the boxed text. If you have a picture of what the scene looks like in your head, then describe that picture. It will be more natural and there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it often helps players. The flowery Gygaxian language of the box text is often just words that don't convey a visual. So don't feel like you are bound by whatever the author has written down. You can just say however you want to describe it and it will probably work better. For the first encounter, the module says that there are 4 goblins. I would warn you that if you give surprise to the goblins because they're hidden and the players haven't spotted them, and all of their arrows hit the players, you might be in for a total party kill. And trust me on this, getting killed in the first combat of the first adventure is profoundly unfun. This is when your players still don't know what kind of a DM you are. Maybe you don't know what kind of a DM you are. So what I did here, and this is by no means the only way, this is the way I did it, you feel free to pick your way. What I did here was I asked everyone their armor class, I rolled some dice for the noise, ignored whatever the result was, and just said, 4 arrows with black feathers come flying towards you. 2 of them hit the dead horses, 1 flies past and hits a tree, and the 4th pins your robes to the ground. Roll for initiative. You see? It builds up tension, and for the newer players, it conveys that, look, this is not a scripted video game. The bad guys are not dumb. They're gonna try to fight you on their terms. They will set up traps and lure you into ambushes. So that's what I was thinking. However, if this does not appeal to you, I would strongly recommend that you use 2 goblins instead of 4. Because dying and losing your character in the first 10 minutes of the adventure is neither fun nor dramatic. And trust me, it's extremely easy to accidentally kill a first level character for 5th edition. Now, there will be people in the comments who will say that I don't have the stomach to kill my players and that you shouldn't listen to me. Your taste, your table, your choice. They might be right. You tell me. Anyway, after the goblin ambush, the two groups behaved very differently. The Red Wedge Pact, which is the group with 3 experienced players and 1 new player, they followed the goblin trail all the way to the Cragmaw hideout. Their story was pretty much the same as the adventure predicted. They sort of followed the breadcrumbs that were laid down by the authors, and they stuck to the textbook. The only remarkable thing that they managed to do was they scared away the 2 goblin lookouts outside of Cragmaw hideout, and they released some of the wolves and scared them away too through some clever use of thaumaturgy. This was being done by the new player, so I kind of, ignored a few low rolls, pulled a few strings behind the curtain to give that player, the new player, a sense of satisfaction that, hey, my creative idea with thaumaturgy worked. Use your judgment based on that. On the other hand, the War Hamsters, the group with 3 new players and 1 veteran player, they decided to split up. 2 of them were going to take the wagon to Phandalin, while the other 2 were going to follow the trail all the way to the cave, the Cragmaw hideout. I know, we all know, you don't have to spend too much time being a nerd on D&D on the internet to figure out that the shibboleth in the community is don't split the party. However, take it from me, it's okay to split the party. The DM needs to dance around a bit, but there's no need to panic. It will all work out fine. So this is how I did this playing. First, I followed the group that went towards the cave, because that had the chance of a short thing. I was expecting them to get to the cave, figure something out, and I was expecting they will not be foolish enough to go headlong into it. So I followed that part of the group towards the cave. They got there and sneaked up close and noticed the goblin outlooks. They heard howls and snarls from inside the cave. I played these up a little bit to put the fear of God in them. If they had gone into the cave by themselves, I would have had no problem with their characters dying. Why was I okay with killing them now, but not before? Here's the difference. The goblin ambush was not a choice for the players. They were forced into it. Until that point, there was no adventure. Right? So I'm being extra careful at that point to not kill any party member. In this case, however, now that they have chosen to follow the trail and come to Cragmaw Hideout, I'm not pulling punches. They chose to come here. I gave them warnings and an inkling of what's inside. If they still choose to commit suicide by goblins, then it's fine. Just let them. Anyway, I digress. Here's the advice about split parties. Follow one group. Let them find something curious or a problem that needs to be solved, not by their character sheets, but by the players talking and discussing amongst themselves. In this case, there are two goblin lookouts, and there's howling and snarling from the cave. What awaits in the cave? They don't know, but they need time to discuss. Now, when they have this thread, when they have this puzzle or a problem or something to discuss that they need time to, you switch to the other party. Here's a good rule of thumb. Neither party gets the attention for more than 20 minutes at a stretch. I feel like this is a good rule to follow to make sure that everyone at the table is engaged and you're not spending hours playing with just two players while the other two players are twiddling their thumbs. So that's my advice. I'm sure some people will disagree, some people will find it useful. You think for yourself. Back to the story. The other half of the party went to Phandelver, and they took the wagon to Barthen's provision. This is where I stole something from something super popular to make it interesting. I just gave Barthen the voice of Pumat Soul. Remember, the War Hamsters are a new group of people. They don't know who Pumat Soul or Critical Role is. So they just heard a funny voice, and they loved the voice. They had no idea that it was just blatantly stolen. So while all this was happening, the other group who were around the cave decided that they weren't going to go into the caves, thank God. They just came back to Phandelver. And this was pretty much where the first session ended for these two groups. We'll pick up next week, and I'll keep you all posted about what happens. So what are your experiences and stories of Lost Mines of Phandelver? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and that's all, folks.